Welcome to BullTV, where we're bullish on Collierville and the Mid-South. I'm your host, David Pickler. BullTV is a monthly show that empowers, educates, and entertains while highlighting the people who inspire and deliver solutions for a stronger community. BullTV is presented by Pickler Companies and is proudly produced by the students of Collierville High School. We invite you to watch our show at www.bulltv.show, thebullnetwork.com, and CHS-TV 19. New episodes air on the second Sunday of every month at 3 p.m. Central Time. On today's show, I sit down with Molly Mehner, Town Administrator for the town of Collierville. Join us as we learn about how Molly serves with passion and pride, and why this role is so important to our community. In the show, we'll discuss the responsibilities Molly embraces, how she leads and communicates with her team, and where she envisions our town in the future. Today, I'm joined by Molly Mehner. Molly is a municipal government professional with 27 years of proven leadership and progressive management experience. Molly is currently the town administrator for the town of Collierville, Tennessee. Molly has a bachelor's degree in urban and regional planning from the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, and a master of public administration from Arizona State University with a concentration in urban management. Molly has served small, medium, and large communities in Illinois, Arizona, Missouri, and now Tennessee. In her current position, Molly is directly responsible to the mayor and board of aldermen and oversees the daily administrative duties of running the town, including preparation of the annual budget and coordinating the activities of town departments. Mrs. Mehner is a credentialed city manager through the International City County Managers Association. She's also a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners and the American Planning Association. Molly resides in Collierville with her husband, John. Molly, thank you for joining us on BullTV.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. Now, Molly, if you've watched any of our shows, you know that we always start out by getting to know you a little bit. So, if you would, in 3 words, who is Molly Mehner?
Molly Mehner is an enthusiastic public servant.
Love it.
Plain and simple.
So when you think about being that enthusiastic public servant, and in your role and in the town, you've been here for about a year now, and so what would you say is your favorite part of living and working here in Collierville?
It's really hard to pick just one thing, but if I had to, I'd say the people. Everyone that I've encountered has been incredibly supportive and welcoming, both personally and professionally, and so that's very endearing. And secondly, I'd have to say the parks, green belts, and trails. I love what I do, but it's very nice at the end of the day to take a walk on that green belt or on the boardwalk, and it helps me to unwind and reflect on the day and recharge my batteries. So
It's such a great thing. You know, our office is literally right next to Town Hall, and we have this beautiful lake and amazing walking trail right behind there. And I know that's part of my daily thing is to go out there and take a few laps around the lake, and it's a great way to relax and unwind. It's just one of the amazing amenities that we have here in Collierville.
It truly is, and I know you probably see a lot of town employees taking advantage of that trail too, and encourage walking meetings and things, and if you need to blow off some steam, that's a great way to do it. Very blessed.
And not only that, but you know how we've integrated with the library system, with the walking trail, with the bookstores. It's just one of those little touches that makes this town so very, very special.
Absolutely.
Well, we're glad to have you. So, when did you first become interested in the area of urban planning and municipal government? And how did you actually get involved in this field of work?
So it actually harkens back to my days at the University of Illinois. Okay. My first urban planning class with Professor Ken Reardon really sealed the deal for me. I was absolutely fascinated by the concept of planning cities, and right then and there I decided I wanted to be involved in that. I wanted to take a part in seeing how these physical forms develop. And so while I was at the University of Illinois, I spent my summers doing an unpaid internship with the city of Carbondale, Illinois. And the planners there really mentored me and taught me and gave me a lot of challenging projects, which just increased my thirst for local government. And so when I graduated from the program at U of I, they hired me on as a planner. Okay. And I started my career there in Carbondale, Illinois. And again, they gave me so many great opportunities and projects that I was sold, and that was the birth of my local government career.
Wow. You know, when you think about all the things you're able to be a part of and helping create that vision for that community, what is the thing that's brought you the most personal satisfaction in your job with doing that?
Two things. One, I think an immediate satisfaction is when you work on projects, whether it's a retail development or a subdivision, you get to see that come out of the ground, and you know that you were part of that development and you helped shape it. And so that's very satisfying to see it when it comes out of the ground and you can drive by and say, I was part of that project.
Exactly.
But longer term, you get to help develop the policies and action plans for communities long range. And that's incredibly important and impactful when you think about you're actually shaping how a community is going to develop over time.
That is so important. You know, here we are in this wonderful Collierville High School, and we're working with these amazing students who are doing this program. And you know, and I often talk about the relationship between education planning and community planning, business planning, and how it really all dovetails together, you know, as you create that vision for the kind of community you want to have.
Right.
So it's amazing. You know, we were talking earlier that 2 years ago to the day, we sat down with James Llewellyn, discussed his role and as town administrator as he was actually preparing to exit after 2 decades of incredible service. Yes. Talk to me, if you would mind, about the process that you went through of obtaining this important role, and how have you found success in blazing your own trail, setting your own path as town administrator?
Well, I'll tell you, following in the footsteps of James Llewellyn is a little bit intimidating because he had such an incredible impact on this community and the organization of the town of Collierville, and he is quite literally a legend throughout the state of Tennessee and beyond. So a little bit intimidating to follow in his footsteps. But I'll tell you, it's James that was a big part of the reason I was so interested in the position. He and I both have planning backgrounds, and his planning influence is evident all throughout Collierville. It's almost tangible. When you come into the town, you can almost feel it. It was very evident to me as a planner that the community cared about planning and design and aesthetic, and so that was very meaningful to me. But also the fact that James has been here as a manager for 27 years, demonstrated to me that the town respects and appreciates local professional management, especially the fact that he was able to manage that through the course of numerous elected officials.
Yes.
So a tenure that long is a little bit unheard of in our profession, and so that showed to me that the town cares about professional management. And while I think James and I manage a little bit differently, I think we both have the same outcomes in mind, which is making sure that Collierville is the best community that it can be.
You know, you talk about, you know, that tenure, and it really speaks to stability. And when you have that kind of stability, it really gives you the freedom to really develop a vision and to put the things in place to really see that vision come to light. And it seems like all great organizations find a way to have that stability and really the opportunity to have that platform division. And so, you know, I really appreciate what you're saying there for Collierville, because it seems like they've always had that legacy of stability, of embracing the past, but also really, you know, looking forward to a great future.
Right, absolutely. And that's very rare, you know, across cities and towns in our country, to have that type of stability and have the focus on that vision and sticking with it regardless of who comes on and off the board. That is very rare and very extraordinary.
Wow, that's great. So you talked about the fact that you manage differently than James. So how would you describe your leadership philosophy?
So it's pretty simple. Hire good people and get out of the way. So you and I were talking a little bit about before the show about our department heads, and we are very fortunate to have very talented department directors that are all experts in their field, whether it's our police chief, IT, human resources, finance, you name it, they all excel in their respective fields. And my role is relevant, a little bit like the orchestra conductor, where I can't play all the instruments very well, but I can make sure that they're all reading from the same sheet of music and producing something wonderful in the end, right? And so what I do is make sure that our directors, who are all experts in their fields, are following the board's goals and objectives and reading from that same sheet of music to produce something wonderful for our community.
Well, I would say that the legacy of Collierville has created a tremendous opus when we think about that. So I love that alliteration. You talk about the fact that with elected officials, with our mayor, our board of mayor and aldermen, and also the department heads, a lot of people you work with. What would you say would be the major challenges of running a town?
So there are many. There's no shortage of challenges running a town. I think one of the biggest things that we face is getting the public to understand how our budget works. We have so many different pots of money. A lot of people, I think, there's one giant pot of money that we can spend on everything, and that's not how it works. We have different funds for different things, and so a lot of times people, I think, get frustrated because they'll see us putting in a pickleball court, but that pothole that they hit every day on their way to work is still unfilled, and they think, well, why can't we, take care of that? So that's one of the challenges, just getting the public to understand how local government financing and budgeting
Pickleball
works.
is important.
Pickleball is important, very important, and I'm sure the board would tell you that they get a lot of requests for pickleball. So the other significant challenge to local government is social media and the internet. And when I began my local government career, none of that existed. And people in the community turn to their elected officials and their town officials for the most accurate and up-to-date information. And now people get their information from social media or the internet, and everybody's an expert thanks to Google and YouTube. And I'm sure not everything you read on the internet is accurate or correct. So we fight a lot of misinformation, and I just would implore people to reach out to your staff. We're here to serve you and provide you the most up-to-date and accurate information, and if we don't have the answer, we will find it for you. But
well, we've had the opportunity to have Jennifer Casey on this show, and she does such an amazing job of providing that information. And but you're right. I mean, when something crazy happens in the community, whether it be weather-related or something else, getting that good, accurate information out to people in the most effective and efficient manner possible is so important.
yes, absolutely.
Wow, that's great. So when you think about decision making, and you think about that, clearly a key part of your job, has decisiveness been, always been part of your DNA, or has this been something that you've had to develop over time?
I've always been a good decision maker. I rely on data and information, and so I use that to make decisions. I think the learned trait for me is learning to ask the right questions. So you solicit the information that you need to make the best decision, and then also the ability to be willing and able to pivot based on new information that might present itself. And so I'm not afraid to alter my my decision if need be.
So decisiveness, but also flexibility.
Absolutely.
Very, very important to do that. Yeah. I think what they talk about that when Darwin came out with his theory, people misread it as saying of survival of the fittest, but actually it's survival of the most able to adapt.
Yep, that's right.
So that adaptability is very, very important. So talking about plans and talking about long term, let's talk about strategic planning. And to me, that's a major responsibility when you're setting the vision for a community. What is the process that you are utilizing and that we're using here in the town for developing the strategic plans, and really when we look at them, how far down the road are we trying to vision for our community?
So in local government, we're constantly planning. We plan, and not just in the traditional community development sense, we're planning all the time for today, for tomorrow, for the long-term future. And there's obviously different types of plans that we look to. I think the most important thing is to make sure that as we develop those plans, we're constantly going back and reevaluating and checkpoints along the way to make sure that they're still relevant.
Right.
You know, if you think about a town's comprehensive plan or general plan, their long-term vision for the future, those often have 20 to 40-year horizons. And if you think about all the things that can happen in 20 years, if you just think about the century that we're in right now, we had 9/11, we had the Great Recession, we had a global pandemic. You know, and that those are things that have impacted our country and the world. But if you think about local communities, there are so many other things that happen on a more granular level that can impact your vision. And so it's very important to go back periodically and check your plan and make sure it still aligns with your vision, and if necessary, adapt and be flexible and change. I'm sure when Collierville, you know, 385 wasn't always out here, and 269, and those things have significant impacts on a community. And so it's very important to go back and make sure that those things that have had an impact, good, bad, or indifferent, are incorporated into your plan, and you're changing accordingly.
So do y'all develop a strategic vision, you know, of a Collierville 2030 or Collierville 2040? You know, is there a part of this planning process that really tries to take that big, hairy, audacious goal type concept?
Yeah, so there's different plans. That the board has a strategic plan and goals, and that's something that we will be revisiting after next year's election to see, you know, if the makeup of the board changes. We will revisit that strategic plan to make sure that it's still relevant with the people that are serving the community and their vision, and if necessary, we will revise and adapt that. We also have our long-term planning, comprehensive plan, and that's something that we need to revisit here in the near future to make sure that we're still on point. You know, we have a lot of people in the community who feel strongly about multifamily, and so is that something that our plan is consistent with the community's vision and the board's vision for that in the future?
Well, so much to do.
It's a lot.
Keeps you busy, doesn't it?
It does. It is fun.
You know, you talked about the essential pickleball and the potholes. So obviously on a daily basis, you've got to prioritize and deal with how you have all these competing demands. So what is your process? What are the process y'all have within the town for addressing that, for prioritizing these different competing needs when they come up?
Well, obviously it begins with the board and what their priorities are, and it has to start with the must-haves. So a safe community, you know, public safety is number one. We all want a safe community. We all want clean drinking water. We want resilient infrastructure that, you know, we have an MLGW meeting later today to talk about resilient infrastructure to make sure that it's sufficient to serve our needs. We want a diverse economy. And so those are, you know, top priorities that we focus our energy and efforts on. And then you can focus on the things that enhance our quality of life in Collierville, our pickleball courts and our robust park system, the library, our trail system, cultural arts, events. Those are all the things that kind of the icing on the cake that really makes Collierville's quality of life special. And so it's, you know, our budget process is a year-long event, and we you know, we never really stop. It's a constant cycle, but we're constantly evaluating those priorities and making sure that our must-haves are taken care of and that we have something left over to enhance that quality of life.
That's awesome. Well, kind of going back a little bit to you, what inspires you most in life?
Pretty simple, kindness. You know, it's really easy for people to be indifferent, complacent, and rude, and it takes someone you know, who can show grace and compassion and understanding in challenging situations and kindness. And our world needs more of that. And so when I see somebody who can be kind in a challenging situation, that inspires me.
That's pretty amazing. That's incredible leadership. You know, you've been on the job now for a little over a year, right around a year, and you've had an opportunity to really get to know this town very well. So when you look at your vision, or maybe the town vision, where do you see Collierville 10 years from now?
So in 10 years, I see Collierville a more sophisticated version of what we are now. I see us embracing technology so that we can provide services more efficiently and effectively. I see us graduating, if you will, from a small town to a leading edge community and progressive, innovative city that we are becoming. You know, we've had significant population growth over the last few decades, and I think we had some, you know, growing pains, as anybody would with that type of population growth, but it's been done very, very well, and now I think it's time to kind of graduate to that next level and really embrace those forward-thinking concepts and innovations to make sure that we continue to be a leading edge city.
Well, you know, one of the things, and I love everything you're saying, one of the things that I hope that we find 10 years from now is that even though 10 years from now we may call ourselves a city instead of a town, I hope we keep the heart.
Oh, we will.
Because that, to me, is what makes this community so very special.
And I'm glad you said that, because by graduating and becoming more sophisticated, that does not mean that we lose our Mid-South hospitality and our neighborliness. I mean, that's something that is so prevalent here, and that's what makes Collierville special. So we've got to make sure that we hold on to that.
And you think about some of the manufacturing that we're bringing in, you think of some of the industry, some of the high-tech things, but yet we still have the town square.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is that heart, that sense of community, I think is so important.
Yeah.
That is such a blessing here.
Yeah, we can't ever lose that identity, that the town square, you know, that's the identity of the town, and that small town charm. So that is absolutely critical to our success. That's what attracts people here. People long for that. So I absolutely agree with you and think it's critical that we maintain that.
You know, you said something there I don't want to leave. People long for that. The sense of belonging, the sense of community. And in a world that seems to be getting more and more isolated, more and more, you know, that we're cocooning, you know, to keep that sense of community, a sense of togetherness, you know, of having the events at Town Square, you know, where you've got, whether it be the Christmas celebration or the 4th of July or just an evening at a concert or something.
Right.
You know, there's just so much that's special about this community. You talk about, as a leader, I mean, the strategies that you use to try to engage citizens in the process within Collierville. What are some of the things that you do to try to really get the kind of engagement? Yeah,
so community engagement has changed radically throughout my local government career, because people, they don't show up like they used to a town hall or a community meeting, when really that was the only avenue for them to provide input. Now we have to meet people where they are. And nowadays that means online. It also means meeting people where they are at their service organizations, their churches, their schools, and going out to where they already are to solicit feedback from them. A big part of what we do is online, of course, because that's where people live. Spend a lot of their time online. So we solicit feedback on agenda items through our e-comment feature on our website. You don't even have to come to a meeting. We'll let you provide your comment online. And of course, emails and web submissions and things. So try to make it easy for people to provide their feedback to us so they don't have to come to town hall. People are so busy. When I think about these high school kids and all that they have on their plate, and that means all that their parents have on their plate, they don't have a lot of time to show up to town hall to voice their opinion. So we need to make it easy for them. We also have to do things in sound bites now. So you mentioned Jennifer Casey earlier and her Monday Morning Minute, you know, where we try to push out as much information we can in less than a minute. People love that.
Oh, sure they do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, you talked earlier about being inspired by people who can show kindness, especially in a very difficult situation. As a leader, what values are the most important for you?
Without a doubt, honesty and integrity. Always tell the truth no matter what, and always do the right thing, regardless of how hard it is or who's watching. those are non-starters for me.
You know, I think about my parents have told me, you know, that if you always tell the truth, you never have to worry about what you said.
That's right.
You don't have to have quite such a good memory, do you?
That's right.
You know, the town administrator serves in so many different roles in our community. You know, you serve in an advisory role for the board, you know, as kind of a liaison. Tell me a little bit about your relationship that you have with the board and how you're handling things on a day-to-day basis.
So my job is to keep the board apprised of everything that's going on, and I do that in a variety of different ways. You know, they all have their preferred method of communication, so text, emails, phone calls, meetings. The one thing that the board impressed upon me during my interview over a year ago was no surprises. They don't want any surprises, so I work very hard to make sure that they're not surprised in any way, and so I provide a weekly report to them with any significant happenings or things that they need to be made aware of. We want them to hear it from us, from me and my staff before they hear it on the news or they get a phone call from a constituent. And so we also have work sessions if there's larger policy issues that need to be discussed or projects that they need to study a little bit more in depth. And of course, before an agenda, we will make sure that they are fully abreast of what's on there, make sure they're not surprised by any controversial issues that people might show up for. So
Communication,
Absolutely.
communication. Absolutely. So what would you say is the greatest lesson that you've learned in your role as town administrator?
I think the most important thing is to understand that every single person you meet has something to say, so listen, because you might be surprised at what you hear. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. I mean the checkout person at Kroger and, you know, the person serving you at SOBs, and, you know, everybody has something to say, and you got to gather those little nuggets and take them in and make sure that you're hearing and you're listening to the community that you're serving.
So important. You know, as I mentioned, I served 16 years as an elected official on the old Shelby County Board of Education, and every time you walked out of the house, you know, there was an opportunity to listen, to learn, and boy, would you hear some things. And as town administrator, people always have an opinion about some things going on.
Absolutely they do, but I welcome that. I welcome that feedback, and I want to know what they think about how we're providing services to them and what we can do better. And I want them to ask questions about why we do things a certain way, because you know, sometimes we need to take a step back and we need a different perspective, and we need someone to ask that question so we can reevaluate and think, you know what, maybe there is a better way to do this. And you know what, the person out there, your next door neighbor might have a great idea, but you've got to be willing to listen and hear what they have to say.
Exactly. There's no monopoly on great ideas.
That's right.
So always be open. So of all the different things that you've done, of all the accomplishments that you've had, what does success look like for Molly Mehner?
Success for me would be making sure Collierville retains itself as a premier community that balances quality residential, commercial, corporate development with the highest quality of life that we can afford, right? So all those icing on the cake items that I talked about earlier. And hopefully success for me means that I get to continue my professional local government career here in Collierville until I retire in 15 years or so. So that would be ideal for me.
Well, maybe we can even encourage you to stay longer than
that. I don't know about that.
Well, listen, you've done a great job, and we're so proud to have you. But we are here inside this amazing school, and I am inspired by these kids every day and what they do, and it's amazing. But what message would you have for the students here at Collierville High School when it comes to leadership?
I would tell the students to step out of your comfort zone, do things that are uncomfortable, do things that are hard, because that's how we learn and we grow and we develop ourselves. Speak up, show up. Don't wait for someone else to take care of it. Be the person that makes the change happen that you want to see.
Well, be that catalyst for change.
That's right, absolutely.
That's so important. So 15 years from now or longer, when you look back and you reflect upon your career, what would you hope would be your legacy?
I hope that the communities that I've served in Illinois, Arizona, Missouri, and now Tennessee, I hope those communities that I've served and managed in the projects that I've worked on I hope that they're better places because of my involvement. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, I hope that the employees that I've managed have grown and taken something away from what I've been able to teach them or coach them, and that I hope that I generate some more local government managers. That would be the greatest success for me, is to see some up-and-coming leaders.
It's always cool to empower other people to achieve their dreams.
Right, absolutely.
That's so much fun. Well, Molly, you have been amazing, and we certainly appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation and give people here in Collierville a chance to get to know you a little bit better, because sometimes the town administrator is not the highest visibility job, but it certainly is one of the single most important positions we have in our community, and you have done an amazing job over the past year. And again, we're so proud to have you in our community. Collierville is a very special place, and I believe that we're a community that is really, our government has built a lot of trust with the people of Collierville, and that trust really, I think, is something that again makes this community very, very safe. And so, I just want to tell you on behalf of all Colliervillians how proud we are of you, how quickly you have really grown, has become a huge member of our community, and really engaged in the tapestry of our community, and the trust that you have built and are building within our town. You've engaged with the citizens. You're involved in a myriad, countless amount of civic activities, and the events, initiatives. You're all out there. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your passion, as we all together work to build a stronger community.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very blessed to be here in Collierville, and very blessed to share this afternoon with you.
Perfect. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
When you think of a community of people living within a specific geographical area, this gathering could be referred to as a village or hamlet. After a period of growth, they can be considered a town. Towns are defined as a populated area with fixed boundaries and a local government. A city is often defined as a large or important town. Cities are often distinguished from towns by their relatively large size, their function, their population, and their economic base. But I would add another consideration: the psychology of the community. A town is a place where people matter, where there's a genuine sense of community. Often as towns grow and mature, they lose that sense of caring, of concern, of focus on quality of life. The town of Collierville has grown to become one of the largest communities in the state of Tennessee. Its population has grown exponentially, as well as commercial, industrial, and business base. We can boast of a diverse economic structure with an amazing mix of residential, multifamily, small business, and large corporations, all proud to call Collierville home. But while this town has experienced significant growth, it has never lost sight of its small town roots. This is a community with a heart for service, a heart for educating our children, a heart for caring about our fellow citizens. In a time when countless communities have abandoned their civic core, the town of Collierville still embraces its historic town square. It still represents all that is great about this community. As a gathering place for families enjoying an outdoor concert or a Christmas or 4th of July celebration. As a thriving location for small town locally owned businesses, as well as the geographic center of our community, our cultural heart of our town. This is what we find in our town square. We're also very proud of the growth and development of Collierville as a business destination of choice and as an innovative leader in education and the arts. But what makes me especially proud is the fact that no matter how much we've grown, Collierville has never lost the soul of a town. Collierville is a large and important community with an incredible business and economic base. We meet every definition of a city, but we truly celebrate that we still have the heart and soul of a town. And that is what makes this town so very special. And that is my 2 cents. Until next time, I'm your host, David Pickler. Thank you for watching BullTV, where together we deliver solutions for a stronger community.